It is now 6 o'clock on May 24th, 2022. Call this meeting to order. Mr. Baker.
Ms. Ulrich? Here. Mr. Unger?
Here.
Mr. Waller?
Here. The first item on the agenda is there a need for an executive session?
Yes, sir. I recommend that the board go into executive session in accordance with the Ohio Revised Code, Section 121.22G1, to discuss the employment and compensation of public employees, including discipline, and in accordance with the Ohio Revised Code, Section 121.22G4, to discuss collective bargaining sessions with employees.
All right, is there a motion?
I would motion that we go into executive session for those reasons.
Any discussion?
Not from me.
Do you anticipate that we will need to have action when we come back?
No.
Okay. Mr. Baker?
Ms. Ulrich? Yes. Mr. Unger?
Yes.
Mr. Waller?
Yes, that passes 3-0. So it's 6:01. We return from executive session. Any items? First, we need to take an attendance.
Ms. Ulrich? Here. Mr. Unger?
Here.
Mr. Waller?
Here. Any items to report?
No, sir.
All right. So we are now open, 7:02 on 5/24/2022. We will begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And now for a moment of meditation, Mr. Unger will begin by saying a few words.
I wanted to mention that we have lost a wonderful community member, a guy named Bill Milazzo, who I've known most of my life, and I would ask that you each give a moment of silent prayer for the repose of his soul.
Thank you, and in addition, it's one of those hard things. I know all our hearts are heavy. If you've seen the news from Texas today, an elementary school shooting with 14 second and third graders who passed away and a teacher. I don't know if those numbers have been updated, but especially on the heels of what happened in Buffalo. I just take a minute to kind of think and keep in our hearts our country and those whose lives were needlessly and senselessly ended early. Thank you. All right. The board has been provided minutes in the meeting packet. Are there any actions at this time?
I motion that we would approve the minutes of the regular meeting from May 10th.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
None. I spoke to Jeff and he made a couple typo corrections.
Any discussion?
No?
All right. Mr. Baker?
Ms. Ulrich?
Yes.
Mr. Unger?
Yes.
Mr. Waller?
Yes. That passes 3-0, approving the minutes from last meeting.
We also have the the minutes from the special meeting of May 10th as well.
So, yeah, that's where I was going next. You've also been provided with the meeting minutes from the special meeting.
I motion that we approve the minutes from the special meeting work session that we had
And I'll second.
on May 10th.
Any discussion?
No.
None.
Ms.
Mr.
Ulrich?
Baker?
Yes.
Mr. Unger?
Yes.
Mr. Waller?
Yes.
That's all I have, Board.
Right, next we have a public hearing, Zoning Commission Case ZA 2022-04, requesting a major amendment to final development ZA 489, plan for change in use from retail to warehouse. Mr. Miller.
Mr. President, thank you, Board. Tonight, our public hearing is for Zoning Commission Case ZA 2022-04, applicant Ann McBride of McBride Dale Colerain, representative for the property owner, Realty Income Property 6 LLC, is requesting a major amendment to final development ZA 489, plan for change in use from retail to warehouse.
All right, are there any motions to open up that public hearing?
I motion that we open up the Zoning Commission Case Public Hearing ZA 2022-04, requesting a major amendment to major amendment to final development ZA 489 for plan for a change in use from retail to warehouse.
Any seconds?
I'll second.
All right, any discussion?
None.
All right, we will vote to open the public hearing.
Ms. Orich?
Yes.
Mr. Unger?
Yes.
Mr. Waller?
Yes, that motion passes 3-0. We now are opening the zoning commission KZA 2022-04, requesting a major amendment to final development ZA 489 plan for change in use from retail to warehouse. At this point, would we like to swear anybody who will be providing any testimony? We'd like to swear in, please, including any employees, Mr. Miller.
So anyone who'll be providing testimony, if you could raise your right hand. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Your microphone's not.
All right, Mr. Miller, take us away.
All right, so the 9.201 acre tract at 6401 Colerain Avenue was formerly used as a Kroger retail grocery store, which has been vacant now for about 5 years. If the change in use is approved by the Board of Trustees tonight, it will be purchased by 4Gen Properties LLC and used for warehousing operations for a storage and assembly facility for Grippo Foods. On May 17th, 2022, the Zoning Commission voted unanimously to recommend approval of the change in use. And first tonight, we have Jonathan Woker from McBride Dale Clarion representing the applicant, who will be followed by any others who have requested to speak during the public hearing. And we also have representatives from 4GN Properties here with us tonight.
All right. I usually have that effect on kids, but it's usually high school kids during my lectures, so. Go ahead, sir. Your name and who you represent, I guess.
My name is Jonathan Woker. I'm a partner at McBride Dale Clarion, 5721 Dragon Way, Suite 300, Cincinnati, Ohio, 45227. And I'm substituting for Ann McBride. And we are here for the applicant 4Gen Properties LLC and Grippo Foods. Usually people cry after I speak, not before. But so we are requesting approval of a major modification to the approved plan development at 6401 Colerain Avenue to allow a change in use from retail to storage and light assembly. Grippo Foods plans to use the existing building to store products and may in the future use the property to assemble their spice product in the future. We're not proposing modifications to the exterior of the building or the site. We will comply with the conditions of the approved plan development. We believe the proposed use is significantly less intense than the approved retail use and is an appropriate change. Compared to the former Kroger store, there would be no customer traffic, reduced truck traffic, and all the activities will occur within the building. This approval would allow expansion of the existing Colerain business. And as mentioned by the staff report, the Zoning Commission did recommend approval of this change. So we request that the board approve the change, use change, and the modification to the plan development. I will try and answer questions if you have them. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Next to speak. What's that?
No one else from our team unless you
Okay.
have questions.
Are there any other interested parties who'd like to testify in this hearing? Last call. Seeing and hearing none. This will be an item that will be dealt with the trustees later in the meeting. So there's normally not discussion. I see a lot of people that are new faces. There's normally not a discussion among us until it comes up later in the meeting. So at this point, I would
Motion that we close Zoning Commission case ZA 20, close the public hearing for Zoning Commission case ZA 2022-04, requesting a major amendment to final development ZA 489 plan for a change in use from retail to warehouse.
Okay, I'll second that.
Any discussion?
No.
None.
Mr. Baker?
Ms. Orich?
Yes.
Mr. Unger?
Yes.
Mr. Waller?
Yes, that passes 3-0. So we close the public hearing on ZA 2022-04, major amendment to final development ZA 489 plan for change in use from retail to warehouse. All right, we have a number of presentations scheduled next. The first is introduction swearing in of new promoted personnel, Department Fire and EMS. Chief?
Good evening to the board,
Good evening.
all of you in attendance, and those watching virtually. And so, yes, I'm here tonight to introduce and swear in our 3 newest career firefighters. First of all, we have Archer Ace Ehrenschwinder. Ace will be pinned by his father, Bob. Ace is a 2020 Colerain High School graduate, and I'm going to have Ace's family and friends stand up and be recognized, please.
Oh, wow. Beautiful.
That's larger than a Reds crowd.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, there's just more that came in. Come on in.
Come on in. Next, we have Travis Fawcett. Travis will be pinned by his father, Christopher. Travis is a 2013 Northwest High School graduate.
Way
He's
to
a
go.
2017 University of Cincinnati graduate. And we'll do the same here. We'll have your family and friends stand up and be recognized, please.
Another big crowd.
And then we also have Daniel Snyder. Daniel will be pinned by his girlfriend, Samantha. Daniel's a 2015 Colerain High School graduate. And once again, we'll have his family and friends stand up and be recognized.
Thank you.
During the swearing-in ceremony, anybody who wants to come forward for pictures, you can stand right over here if you'd like. And here comes the important part. Raise your right hand. I state your name. I, Travis Fawcett. Do solemnly swear. That I will uphold the Constitution of the United States of America.
Uphold the Constitution of the United States of America.
The Constitution of the State of Ohio.
The Constitution of the State of Ohio.
And its bylaws.
And its bylaws.
I will abide by the Colerain Fire and EMS mission statement.
I will abide by the Colerain Fire EMS mission statement.
Values. Code of ethics.
Code of ethics.
Standard operating guidelines.
Standard operating guidelines.
And the township's policies and procedures.
And the township's policies and procedures.
I will faithfully discharge the duties of firefighter in and for
I will faithfully discharge the firefighter duties
and for
and for
Colerain Township,
Colerain Township,
Hamilton County,
Hamilton County,
State of Ohio,
State of Ohio,
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations. It is heartwarming to see this much of audience in uniform and family members to support you. Oh. Oh, you shake.
Thank you and congratulations. And if I know there are a lot of people here for this group, but if you would stay for the next group of folks that get sworn in before we head our ways, that would be great. Thank you so much in advance for your service, gentlemen, and you're joining, as you probably know, the finest fire and EMS in the state, and I firmly believe that. Next, we'll have presentation by Chief Denny introducing and swearing in newly hired police officers.
Good evening, Board.
Good.
Evening, Chief.
Tonight's an exciting night. I get to introduce you to the future of the police department. We have our 2 newest officers and our two newest promotions. So I'll bring them in front of you here in just a moment. The first is Robert Bolt. Robert joins us after working for the North College Hill Police Department for the last 4 years. Robert's a 1999 graduate of Mount Healthy High School and graduated from the Ohio Peace Officer Training Academy in 2003, and he has the approved haircut.
Good for you.
Next will be Jordan Meinking. He joins us from the city of Monroe, where he served for the past 2 years. Prior to that, Jordan served the New Richmond Police Department for 4 years. Jordan's a 2008 graduate of LaSalle High School and received an associate's degree from Southern New Hampshire University. And he's a 2015 graduate of the Butler Tech Police Academy. You guys want to introduce who you brought with you? Your wife? My wife, Kristen. Put your hands up. There you go. Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name. I, Robert White. Do solemnly swear. That I will uphold the Constitution of the United States of America and the Constitution of the State of Ohio. Abide by the Colerain Police Department mission and value statement. Code of ethics. Rules and regulations. Police Department policy and procedure. I will faithfully discharge the duties of police officer. In Fort Colerain Township. Hamilton County. State of Ohio. That's my ability. So help me God. Congratulations.
Congratulations, and thank you very much, gentlemen. And that's why I got a call 2 nights ago from a good friend of mine at North College Hill that said, quit taking our police officers.
Just the good ones.
That's what I said.
The next two I'm going to do separately because these are big moments for them. They're both promotions. Our first will be Samantha Carter. Samantha Carter was hired as a Colerain police officer in June of 2014. She served as a patrol officer, a school resource officer, officer in charge, and now will be a patrol sergeant. Samantha has also served as an advisor for our public safety cadet program. Since joining the police department, Samantha went back to school and obtained her bachelor's degree, earning a spot on both the chancellor's and the dean's list. She's recently married, and her and her husband Nate have a new son who I think was escorted out just a moment ago. He's back? Okay, good.
Oh, he's precious. I'll bring him up here. He wants to sing. Oh. Congratulations. Yay! Yeah.
Congratulations, and thank you
Got
for
your
your
hands
service.
full.
And last but not least, Dean Doerflein. Dean joined the police department in September of 2011 after serving in Union Township and Warren County Sheriff's Office for a total of 6 years. Dean was also a Colerain Township firefighter for 4 years.
Ooh.
Since joining the police department, Dean returned to school where he obtained his associate's degree and is currently working on his bachelor's degree. Dean has served in many roles. He's served as a patrol officer, school resource officer, detective, and lastly, a patrol sergeant. Dean also serves on our honor guard. Dean and his wife Jennifer have 2 daughters, and Dean will be taking his oath of office for lieutenant.
Oh.
Discharge the duties of lieutenant.
I will faithfully discharge the duties of lieutenant.
And in the
Congratulations, Lieutenant, and if I had $1 for every good thing I heard about you, I'd be a rich man, so you are very much held in high esteem, and I've heard nothing but positive things, so good luck to you. Chief, thank you for bringing us such quality candidates. All right, next on our agenda list is a recognition of Class 2 of the Township Academy. And I will go through these names if you're here, but I guess the best way to do would be just come on up and come on down. Ms. Dottie Young, Mr. Robert Riccardi, there you go, congratulations. Mr. Carl Munich, Mr. Michael Lee, thank you. Ms. Diane Caprina, did I pronounce that correctly? Oh, absolutely not. Wow, you just inflated my hopes. How's it pronounced? Very well. Oh, that's a W. I couldn't, okay. You were close. All right, thank you. I think I'll get this one right. Ms. Connie Goff? There you go, thank you. And Ms. Ann Denny. So congratulations to Class 2 of...
Oh, fantastic.
Thank you so much.
Thank all of you.
And thank you, Mr. Mills and Mr. Reckback, for creating this. I know that in our first meeting when we talked about what I wanted out of this office, it was to have something like Fire Academy and Police Academy for citizens to learn about what the township does. So thank you so much. And we will give a minute to folks that need to clear out. You think I could grab a water?
That was an awesome display of support. I know. That was just all the kids. It was fun seeing everybody. No, thank you. I got one. Thank you. Now.
I don't know if there are any additional.
Ed Cordy runs that program, correct? The Citizens Academy?
No, it's by Jeff Wetback.
Oh, Jeff, okay. Oh, okay, I thought Ed was, okay, I was mistaken.
All right, thank you. As we move on to the next items, we have citizens' address. And do we have the clock? All right, first on the list is Ms. Kathy Moore. Good evening.
Good evening. First of all, I have several things to address as usual. The minutes for April the 12th, at the last meeting, I got up and said that when you approved 2 contracts, Mr. Mills did not state the amount of those contracts. However, it is in the minutes. And actually, so the minutes are incorrect. I've been coming to meetings for 6 years and nothing has changed. I have no doubt that Mr. Mills knows, because sometimes he has done it, and sometimes he doesn't. I haven't had a chance to review other minutes, but the Zix contract was $4,878.15, and the contract for No Before is $14,124. You're spending our money, and you need to let us know how much you are approving when you approve a contract. If somebody called you and said, here's your landscaping estimate, or here's a landscaping estimate for $2,000, but doesn't give you any facts or anything with it, I don't think you would be so quick to approve that. Anyway, can we just put an end to this game and have the amounts read during the meeting if you're going to approve it? Regarding the pregnancy sick bank, I want to clarify if I understood Mr. Mills right. From what he said that the person would not be taking FMLA, so they would only be using the sick bank. And if a person is using FMLA, they should take any of their available leave time. So it sounds like she's going to be able to keep her vacation time and any other earned off time and just use the sick bank. And I just wanted to clarify if that was the way if the way I understand it is correct or not. Does the board know what the status of We Thrive is? Stephanie brought it up at a prior meeting. Does the board know anything about it? Stephanie attended a class for this. 2 years ago, Mr. Mills appointed 2 people that we had never heard of. They never attended a meeting to let us know they were working on behalf of our township. According to the county, Colerain had not participated. Stephanie is a perfect candidate. This is what she is good at. She submitted her application at a public meeting, and it appears that the township wants resident involvement, but only certain people. I'm asking the board to participate in this decision. Resolution 721 from last year allows a public auction of a parcel on Clara Avenue. 15 months later, what is the status? And why is the property not transferred to the CIC? Your resolution on January the 4th at an organizational meeting allows for expenses for coffee, food, etc. I have an invoice from 2021 for $1,350 for a Christmas luncheon, and another from Sam's Club for $237.52, which includes breakfast bowls, ham, turkey, salami, and paper products. I don't know what it is for because it doesn't say. It is just paid with no explanation. And I would request that the board insist that there is explanation of what the expense was for. And the last thing I have, 3 invoices from Plattenberg. One of them is $2,500, $2,800, and $225. And the explanation is progress billing for professional services provided in connection with cash accounting basis financial statement preparation procedures for the year ended December 2021. And basically the other one says the same. And then the $225 one just says consulting work related to bank reconciliation and posting Huntington Capital lease disbursements. So that's all it says on this one for $2,500. There was 20 hours of work we paid for. And I think we deserve to know a little bit more than just a blurb that appears on every statement. The one for $2,800 was for 22.4 hours. So if we could know what we're spending our money on. And then the one for $225 was for 1.8 hours. And when I request the record, I like to ask that we get I would like a detailed invoice. And you can tell these are definitely not detailed. And I have a copy for you, and I only made one copy, so you can just share it, just so you know what I'm talking about. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Kathy.
Ms. Stephanie Wright. Evening.
Good evening. I have a few questions about the agenda this evening. Tonight we're doing some abatements on property. I don't know if the board has really paid much attention to the actual addresses on these properties. Most of them are repeat offenders. Two of them were just abated in February, and now they're on the list again. 2 are commercial, 4 are LLCs, 3 are foreclosures. I had brought this up previous at a meeting and it didn't go anywhere, but I'd like to present this idea to the board again. Deterrent is the best way to get someone to not repeat behavior. I suggested a tiered system for offenders and repeat offenders. We have the same property owners, business owners repeatedly being cited. If you have grass, you need to cut it. It's not rocket science here. So the thing that I had proposed was that if you are cited once within 6 months, it's this amount. If you're cited twice within 6 months, it's this amount. I think it would help curb the repeat offenders. Also tonight on the agenda, we are approving 2 people to the Tax Incentive Review Council. I was wondering who served on that prior to the 2 people that are being appointed this evening, and if applications were submitted for that. Don't remember seeing anything on the township's website about that being an opportunity for residents to participate in. If the township could please give us an update on the donation bins that have been greatly halted throughout the community. I'm very appreciative of that. There are a few still lagging around, and I was wondering what attempts are made to tidy up that situation. Kathy also mentioned about We Thrive. I have called them quite a few times and spoken with them personally. I did participate in the We Thrive initiative that was offered in Colerain Township about 5 years ago. And I've been trying to spark that interest back with Colerain Township. We Thrive is a great opportunity that's offered through Hamilton County, and I believe that Colerain is losing out on a lot of resources by not participating in this program. So I would like for someone to please check into that. And last meeting, there was a gentleman here who had a very valid question about the customer service request. That is a emailed or a system that's online that residents can file complaints or things like that about tall grass, junk cars. The residents ask if those complaints can be anonymous. He stated that he had put in a few complaints and was told that they were invalid because it was to a bogus email address. And Mr. Unger, I believe you said you were going to ask Mr. Mills to contact that resident and follow up. I was wondering if that's been done. Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, and next on the list is Ms. Lori McMullen. Good evening.
Hello. Let's see. So first off, for Greater Northbrook, we just wanted to thank our speakers from our community meeting that was held on May 16th. So thank you to Chris Henson from the Colerain Historical Society, Mr. Jeff Mills, Chief Denny, Assistant Chief Cordy, Jamie Penley, Henry Boyd, Chief Walls, David Miller, Dale Yater, and Amy Wells from Northwest Local School District, Senator Blessing, State Rep Cindy Abrams, and then members of a Greater Northbrook. This Saturday was our annual cleanup day, so we have a lot of thank yous for that. The Northbrook Shopping Center, of course, Rumpke, Compton Recycling, Junk King, Minuteman Press, People Working Cooperatively, Hamilton County Resource, the Colerain Chamber of Commerce, Colerain Lowe's, the Colerain Environmental Crime Unit, and Officer Henry Boyd, of course. Side by Side provided our breakfast from P&S Diner, which was amazing. Lunch was provided by Angela's Pizza in Northgate. Then for volunteers, we actually had the most volunteers that we've ever had. So that was pretty exciting, but big shout outs to Eric Reifenberger and Mike Evangelo. Those two gentlemen drive around, not just Northbrook, but Colerain, and pick up items from people's houses, and literally we're picking up couches as a one-man band, so that's amazing. Also Sam Jasper from eLife, Mike Beckman, Assistant Chief Ed Cordy, the new Sergeant Samantha Carter, Michelle Gabbard, Gladys Stillwell, Chief Alan Walls. He was a rock star and probably saved our lives. I don't know if people know this, but we empty the cars and all of that ourselves. It was 90 degrees out, and we were feeling lightheaded and starting to get nauseous and not feeling good, and the fire department needed to do a little bit of training on their water tanker, so they show up and start spraying us down, and probably saved at least 3 strokes that I know of, including mine. Sean from Junk King, it was his first time there. He was a rock star as well. Jeff Weckbach, Matt Wallert, Jeff Mills and his boys cleaning up. Debbie Craven, Brenda Evangelo, Matt Teetsort, Dave and Patty Moravec, Dale Beck and Gail Nolte, Sam Woolery. And those are just the volunteers. Then members of a Greater Northbrook, Laura Dakin, Amanda Beckman, Melissa Staley, Nikki Hacker, Chad Ballard, Rhonda Lehman, Mike Evangelo, Connie Goff. So that's a lot of volunteers to make sure that a neighborhood continues to move in the right direction. Then just 3 more things real quick. The veterans flags and the flags along Dale Woods Drive look amazing. Keep those going. They say a lot to the tradition of our country and our police department that we continue to honor. A reminder that rental registration, we need to be tough on this. Do the most, and if we have to then tear back a little bit, I would still frown upon that. And then this part is not from me, but from everyone that I have spoken to. Thank goodness that Grippo's is staying in Colerain where they belong. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Mills, if we can kind of go through some of the questions. With regard to the April 12th minutes, the amount of contracts in the minutes, I believe that last meeting we discussed, did we not go back in last meeting and talk about what those contracts were worth, or were those new contracts?
So every contract that's in the agenda, the actual contract is in the agenda. And on the agenda item sheet, it says what those contracts are for. So you can not only see the amount of the contract, but you can see all the terms in the agreement. It's probably the most transparent way to conduct business that I've ever seen a governmental organization engage in.
Right, and the pregnancy sick bank and the not taking FMLA,
Typically, so I think there's just a misunderstanding about how FMLA works. So FMLA is not paid leave. FMLA simply protects your job while you are sick. And so if you would like to be paid while on FMLA, you have to have paid leave. Okay, and the issue that we were trying to resolve are we have young female, in this case firefighters, who have not had an opportunity to build up a sick leave bank or build up a vacation bank. And if they were to get pregnant, they would not be able to take the 12 weeks of paid leave that FMLA protects their job for because they don't have the paid leave to use. And so what we did was we created a sick bank wherein other peers could donate sick leave to that sick bank so that they could have paid leave to be with their newborn.
but they would they use their leave first, or?
Sure, I mean, they would need to use paid leave.
Right.
That is in their account.
Right, and we Thrive.
We Thrive has been a tremendous success. We've been involved with We Thrive for years. In fact, it's so successful that it's kind of worked itself out of a role. And we'll likely be bringing to the board a resolution to dissolve We Thrive in Colerain because it's been so successful that we don't need it anymore.
Right, in Clara, the property on Clara.
I'm not familiar with that property.
On the coffee food expense, I know that one of the Christmas luncheon is an annual thing, I think, for employees. I don't know what the $275, the additional receipt, the breakfast items.
So we spend about $40 million a year in Colerain Township. Right. And so to pull one transaction out of a $40 million budget and have an expectation that I, off the top of my head, know what that was for is I think, irrational. So I'd be happy to look at, to go back and pull that. It likely, I mean, there's public records requests all the time, Ms. Moore and Ms.
I do think the 1,300 is for the annual.
I just don't know,
Okay.
as I sit here today, what that transaction was.
Right. And then the 3 invoices from Plattenberg, that has to do with making sure the computers communicated correctly, I believe.
We talk about Plattenberg nearly monthly. Plattenberg is a certified public accountant that helps us with accounting, and so we have a contract with them. Instead of employing a certified public accountant, we use the time as needed. So if we need an hour, 1.8 hours here, 20 hours there, it's a much more fiscally responsible way to get that expertise than by hiring a full-time public accountant to be on staff. And so I continue to share that it's wise and it's needed, and their invoices state, I mean, it was read into the record what it was for. So I don't know what greater granularity or detail the board would like, but I'm happy to provide that if it's necessary.
And they helped. In addition, we had some issues with credit card deposits and some things that needed to be.
Yeah, there's a lot of reconciling. Again, we're talking about $40 million, and
Right.
reconciling each month can be challenging, especially when we are dealing with complex financial transactions such as bond repayment through a trustee that has, a cascading waterfall of payment system, and how do you impute that into our accounting system? That's challenging. And so sometimes it's really nice to be able to talk to a certified public accountant and say, hey, in cash basis accounting, could you help out for an hour with us?
And that puts an outside set of eyes on it.
Yes, and it keeps us into compliance.
And the tiered system for repeat offenders is not really a question, it's a suggestion, and I think that might be worth pursuing. after we do the rental registration. I think that these, but I don't, I mean, I'd have to talk to Mr. Solomon or talk to legal and see what kind of things might stand in the way there. Donation bin update, I know that a number of them have been removed, and we are pursuing the others with the license, right?
So the goal was not to remove donation bins.
That's right.
So the goal was to make sure that any negative impacts of donation bins were taken into consideration. And so what happened, the action that the board took was to provide additional regulations through zoning and require that donation bins come in and get a zoning certificate. So any donation bin that wants to be in Colerain Township, you're welcome. You're welcome to do that. You just need to get a zoning certificate and meet the criteria that was adopted by the board.
And the last item I have is about the customer service request, which was, I'll let Mr. Unger deal with that. So I think that pretty much goes through the questions. If I miss one, please email me and let me know, and we'll get the answer, and we'll find out about the $275.
Yeah.
All right. So administrative reports then.
Sure.
Thank you, Mr. Mills.
Sure. So typically our administrative reports on the second meeting are a little bit later, but I recall that the board asked for an update on our efforts on identifying vacant properties. So since January 1st of this year, we have inspected 373 properties for vacancy. The vast majority of those, I'd say 350 of those, were provided to us by ProChamps, our vendor, who manages the collection and administers the vacant and foreclosed property program for us. They provided those addresses based on data that was available to them, such as water shutoffs and other data that's publicly available. Then we went out with our codes team, Chris Cavallero, Henry Boyd, Jamie Penley. It was sort of an all hands on deck, and this has been occurring in the last several weeks, and did 373 inspections to determine, are they actually vacant? As it turns out, 65 of those properties were verified as vacant and were just last week conveyed to ProChamps. ProChamps then now has confirmed vacancy through an inspector, so they are pursuing registration. And if their work in the vacant property realm is anywhere as good as their work in the foreclosure realm, we'll be seeing lots of registrations here soon. I can share with you that as of right now, we have one registered vacant property, but we have 39 this year registrations on foreclosures, and that's generated $14,920 of revenue for the township, and has identified persons of contact for each of those properties, so that if we have a Breezy Way example, for example, we know who to contact, and we can get code enforcement in that way. Are there any questions on the vacancy?
So it's 65 vacant. It seems like when we did our housing study in 2019, there were about 23,500 dwelling units in Colerain Township. So, yeah, that's a big number if you're standing, looking at the house across the street and it's vacant, but it's 65 out of 23,500.
Yes, sir.
So I'm glad we've identified those, and I hope we continue to pursue them.
Yep,
So,
that's the goal.
And thank you for that update, too. Thank you.
Yeah, that concludes my administrative report, unless there's questions.
I do have a
Yeah.
question unrelated to you. So one of the things that we picked up on some of the data that we got from police and the mental health liaison that we have with the county is efforts. I think I was a little bit surprised that the highest cohort were senior citizens that were struggling. I ran into a nonprofit group named Pro Seniors. Is it possible to have them maybe do kind of a report on what they do so that we can have that in front of the board and actually get that out to the community, because that's a cohort that's really oftentimes becomes a target, and Pro Seniors does fantastic work.
You bet.
All right. I appreciate that.
Sure. Department directors, are there any reports this evening? Okay, I think that concludes the administrative report.
Trustee reports?
I can go ahead.
Okay.
Thank you, Matt. Mr. Sexton, who came to the last meeting, you were going to talk to him and Mr. Cavallero, Jeff?
Yes, I I apologize, that has not been a priority yet, so
Okay.
I will make that a priority.
Okay. Thank you to our friends in Northbrook. I enjoyed coming to the meeting last Monday night. I think it's probably one of the best run citizen groups I've ever come across. What a great group of folks that are really out trying to do all the right things for the right reasons. Here at Colerain Township, just like at my day job in the business that I work for, and I'm sure at Grippo's also, we consume quite a bit of fuel. And I was talking to our assistant chief before this meeting. How has the almost $2.50 increase in fuel prices hurt the township over the past year? And just so people are aware, the police cars and the fire trucks use quite a bit of fuel. I have no idea how many trucks you folks are running. I'm sure that is eating you alive, and people just need to be cognizant of that. We had a work session prior to our last meeting, and we talked about different income streams we are getting from some tax increment financed properties, and we really need to think about what we're doing here so we can continue to fuel all of our equipment. I don't know how you guys survive that without raising the price of your products, and which on an economic scale, you probably sell a few less of them as the price goes up, and it's just the whole federal energy and fuel policy is making things really tough on a lot of people, and on Colerain Township as well. And otherwise, everything's going great except for that.
Wait till you see the increase in food prices in about 8 to 10 weeks.
Prices are coming too, and I don't know what your costs are on your raw materials. It is probably, if you can get them trucked to your facility for processing.
If you can get them, that's the biggest thing. If you can get them.
Right, and people don't understand what these federal policies are doing, here on the ground level at small government or at local business. So it's something that I'm very well aware of, and I'm sure the other trustees are also, and I will yield the balance of my time, Matt.
Right.
Okay, well, first of all, I wanted to say congratulations and forgot about the Armed Forces Day. All the people were in military service last week. We didn't say anything about that. And also on the Colerain agenda, we just put it back on. Sorry about this. Memorial Day, we are going to have a special service at 10 a.m. at Veterans, but that's at the corner of Springdale and Colerain. So if anybody would like to attend that, it was very heartwarming last year with taps being played. And the other thing is, Lori, I have to commend you. I am sorry I had something come up Saturday, but you guys work extremely hard. I have bragged about you to other neighborhoods. If they would follow your agenda, they could do wondrous things with their neighborhood. So again, I thank you for doing what you do. And I'm good.
All right. I'll just add my thanks to Greater Northbrook. Again, I apologize for not being able to make your meeting. It was graduation mass. That's one of the 2 or 3 required days. I did come out and sweat a little bit Saturday. I don't know if I did anything besides sweat, but one of the things that I heard people say a lot is that, well, it's a shame that we have to have this. And I'm like, well, no, it's actually good that we have this, because this diverts a lot of the stuff that may end up elsewhere. And it may not end up elsewhere by that particular resident. Maybe that resident sells their house, and it's one of those deals where you get the rest of that for free, and you don't know how to get rid of it. So it's a fantastic program, and I think it does a great job. And I saw your markup on the mural, and it looks awesome. Fantastic. That leads me to my next. May 18th was the Solid Waste Committee Policy Board, where I sit, and a couple things that were talked about that are pretty considerable. So the main charge of the Solid Waste Committee is to come up with a solid waste plan, which they do, I think every 4 years or so, maybe 5 years. This is the time that they're doing that. They're in the process of creating that now. And it requires a lot of work, and usually by the end of the summer it's ready. The one other thing that was proposed by a member, and it really wouldn't affect Colerain yet because we have a contract, is it wouldn't affect Springfield Township, or I guess Green, is 2 of the new rules that they want to apply is that you would have to, it would be required trash pickup by 2024, I believe. And then it would also be the next year required recycling. And what that would mean would be that you could still opt out, like we have opt-out periods in Colerain for people that are snowbirds that may spend time in Florida, or we have some opt-out that they can do through Rumpke. That would still apply at the county level, but they believe that this would mitigate some of the trash if it's required for everybody to have some way to get rid of it. As far as the required recycling, required is kind of a loose and fast word there because they're not going to come knock on your door if you didn't put the recycling bin out. But the whole idea is to increase recycling, and the numbers from Colerain have been fantastic on things that have been recycled. And I've talked about it a lot. I was never a recycler till somebody gave me a recycling bin with a label on it and told me what to put in it. And I'm like, well, all right, that's not that hard. I can do that. And I think that a lot of people are in that same cohort. Over the last 3 years, the complaints to the Environmental Crimes Division have, as you might suspect, come from Cincinnati, more so than really any other community. So using 2018, 19, and 20, of all the complaints, 55%, 77%, and again, 77% of the complaints came from Cincinnati. Colerain was 9, 9, and 13. However, that's really not a comprehensive number because we have our own, but we didn't in 20. So I guess I think a lot of it gets done by the township. The flags look fantastic, and looking forward to the Memorial Day. The rental registration, I think we're working on and moving along in order to get something that's comprehensive enough, but that's also legal, which is important. And I think, is that it? Yeah, we already talked about pro seniors, and I'm happy to have Grippos stay as well. I found out the other day when I did a little look into the history, they started making ice cream cones in 2019, in 1919 on Court Street in a one-room, which is just incredible. And you never really think about it, but these guys at Grippos are fighting the big boys. Lay's has a huge market advantage in this, and here we have it's like a David in Colerain. It's our own David, and and I love that. I love that narrative. I love that story, and just the story of how they started making ice cream cones is kind of it's like an American hero story, and I just love it, and I love that we're able to hopefully work this out to have them stay. So that is my report.
Trustee Waller, before we end, the property on Clara was sold to Caliber Collision. It was sold by trustee action at a public meeting.
That's right. And they extended their, yeah. All right. That is my. All right. Public safety. We have a resolution declaring nuisance and ordering abatement.
Evening, Board.
Evening.
I have a resolution declaring nuisance and ordering abatement. The staff recommendation is adoption of the resolution. This resolution allows for the removal of uncontrolled vegetation and refuge at the following properties: 9928 Crusader, parcel 510-0041-008700. 9830 Crusader, parcel 510-0041-010100. 6662 Daleville, parcel 510-0350-015500. 2351 Fulbourn, parcel 510-0043-036700. 7681 Livingston, parcel 510-0211-001600. 9936 Lower Linda, parcel 510-01-12-02-0600. Halfway. 3227 Niagara, parcel 510-0102-0092-00. 2907 Sheldon, 510-0071-013700. 2520 Springdale, parcel 510-0043-003800. 3475 Springdale, parcel 510-0112-002700. 3776 Susanna, 510-0191-001600. 0000700, 2805 Wheatfield, parcel 510 0041 033900. Finally, 2841 Wheatfield, parcel 510 0041 034200.
Chief, unless I missed it, did you do 7451 Colerain, or has that been remediated?
I will have to look into that
That's
one.
the first one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't catch that either. I'd say we go ahead and read it, and if it's been remediated.
7451 Colerain is on the list.
Did he
Right.
read that?
Yes.
Okay. I
And
was having trouble getting it to come up on my screen.
Did you read 3084 West Galbraith?
Yes. Yes, 3084 West Galbraith.
Okay.
Right.
Third to last.
All right. Are there any motions at this time?
I motion that we approve the resolution declaring nuisance and ordering abatement of those properties.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Yes, Jeff, the one at 7451 Colerain, I went out and saw that a week and a half ago, and it looks like you hit it just right and got it in there, so thank you for taking care of that.
Yes, sir.
I second. No, did you motion? Sorry.
We already motioned and seconded. Do you have any comments about the list?
Sorry, I'm having a cough.
Well, thank you. Thanks for keeping this up and ensuring that we keep these properties compliant to this. It's I know that you're probably going to be hit with a number of them from back in my neck of the woods because I took a drive back.
Oh, really?
There's a lot of grass out there right now.
Yeah, it's been. I mean, the rain has been just incredible. Do you need a slight?
No, I'm fine.
Okay.
I coughed.
All right. All right. So at this point, Mr. Baker, call the question.
Ms. Ulrich?
Yes.
Mr. Unger?
Yes.
Mr. Waller?
Yes. Passes 3-0. Those addresses the chief read will be declared nuisance and ordering abatement. Public services.
Good evening, Board. I've got a few items for you tonight, the first of which is a motion to issue requests for proposals for the lease of the Colerain Park concession stand. So annually, we continue to look at trends in parks and recreation management. One of the trends that we've been seeing is identifying underutilized assets within your parks. Throughout the facility master plan, the actual concession stand that's near the baseball fields was recognized as one of those assets that could be turned into a productive use. So we thought, what better way than to put out a request for proposals, see what the free market says could be a good use for that park. In my mind, that could be a little coffee shop or an ice cream shop or something else that could support some of the existing amenities there while providing us with an opportunity to generate some revenue. So that's the purpose of this RFP tonight. Naturally, if we put this out there and we don't like anything that we get back, we can just say no to all of the proposals. And with that, I will recommend adoption of the motion.
I recommend we adopt the motion to issue a request for proposals for the lease of Colerain Park concession stand.
I second. I think it's a good idea.
All right. So we have a motion and a second to issue request for proposals lease of Colerain Park concession stand. Any comments?
None.
Mr. Weckbeck, I have a question that occurred to me that this might be an opportunity for some collaboration. Is it possible to reach out to Northwest School District too? Because I know that oftentimes at Bengal games and Xavier games, you get groups like, I don't know, like the football team will work not a Bengal game, well, yeah, I guess a Bengal game because it'll be on a Sunday. Or you'll have, I don't know, the chamber choir work a Xavier game. It might be an opportunity for the boosters to raise some additional funding by providing that service. I don't know if it's possible that we let them know that they can bid, or what kind of process would be involved with doing that, because it'd be great for us to make some money off it, and the school district to make some money, especially with extracurricular and sports costs so high now that it's very difficult for some students to afford.
Yeah, we can certainly let them know so that they know that the bid is out there. And I would encourage you all as well that if you know of anybody that is in any of these spaces that could provide an additional amenity and would be willing to lease the space from us, to consider putting together a proposal.
Great. Any other comments or questions?
None.
Mr. Baker?
Ms. Ulrich?
Yes.
Mr. Unger?
Yes.
Mr. Waller?
Yes, that passes 3-0 to issue request for proposals, lease Colerain Park concession stand. Second item.
So the second item is a motion authorizing Township Administrator to execute a contract with Train for HVAC control system upgrades at 4200 Springdale Road. in a total amount of $48,376. So previously, we had released a request for proposals and qualifications to upgrade the controls, the brains of our existing HVAC system. As you all are aware, back in 2018, we actually upgraded one of our chillers at the cost of about $130,000. So it's important that now that we've got this new system, that it's talking correctly with all the various VAV boxes in each office and each space to make sure that if we have air that is too hot, it cools things down, and vice versa. So we issued this RFP. We got a number of different quotes back, and some of them had a little bit of a qualifier on them. For example, the second lowest bidder, Comfort USA, actually came with a full recalibration of all of our VAV boxes. However, after consulting with our facilities manager, reviewing these specs, and getting his professional expertise on this, he felt that the Train quote, which was initially $35,000, plus an additional 80 hours of post-service installation, would make the most sense. And so those two coupled together would amount to $48,000, which is less than our project budget of $50,000. So we'll recommend adoption of the motion.
Mr. McRivey, did you say that the amount of the contract was $48,376?
That is correct.
Okay.
Mr.
Mr. Weckback.
Oh, I'm
Yeah.
sorry, Mr. Weck.
We're all
Oh,
Jeffs.
you're Jeff's
Yeah,
title.
the wrong-
I know, there's a lot of Jeffs around.
Yeah.
All right, do we have any motions at this time?
I motion that we authorize the township administrator execute a contract with Train for HVAC control system upgrades at 4200 Springdale Road for $48,376.
I guess second.
All right, discussion.
Yes, in the agenda are all five of the 5 bid responses with pricing and all the terms and conditions, and everything's right there on the agenda for people to look at.
And they are a wide variety, aren't they?
Yeah.
They are.
Yeah.
But I'll trust the expertise of our facilities manager on that. so
Exactly. Yeah.
No other comments from me.
All right, Mr. Baker?
Ms. Orich?
Yes.
Mr. Unger?
Yes.
Mr. Waller?
Yes. All right, last.
Thank you,
but not
Board.
least.
Yep, the last item is a resolution for disposal by sale of equipment and vehicles which are obsolete, unfit, or unneeded for public use. So we've got 2 vehicles this year that, as they are replaced, are going to be ready to be life cycled off and sold through Gov Deals at auction. And our roads division, that is unit number 3-32, which is a 2004 Ford F1 or 450. And our parks division, unit 4-415, which is a large case tractor, and that is from 1990. And I will recommend adoption of the resolution.
I motion that we approve the resolution for disposal by sale of equipment and vehicles which are obsolete, unfit, or unneeded for public use.
I second.
So we have a motion and a second for a resolution to dispose by sale equipment, vehicles which are obsolete, unfit, or unneeded for public use. Any discussion?
None.
I wouldn't buy them, but never mind.
Thanks for getting some money back for us.
Yeah, sorry.
Mr. Baker?
Ms. Orich?
Yes.
Mr. Unger?
Yes.
Mr. Waller?
Yes.
Thank you, Board.
All right, development. Mr. Miller, welcome back. We have in front of us for development a resolution approving or denying case number ZA 20204, a major amendment to the final development plan ZA 489.
Yes, sir. All right, item A under new business is the resolution associated with tonight's earlier public hearing for zoning commission case ZA 2022-04. The board has before it 2 separate resolutions, one for approving case and one for denying it. And as noted earlier, staff's recommendation is for approval.
Are there any motions at this time?
I motion that we would approve the resolution approving case ZA 2022-04, a major amendment to final development plan ZA 4-89.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any comments?
Thanks for going through the process.
So I have a real minutia-like question. Since this was passed, this amendment was passed by the county, but they know we do our own now. We don't need to hear from the county. They can't come back later. Do they give up all that responsibility then once we take it? Yep. Okay. And then all the PUD requirements that are in the original still transfer over to the new ownership?
That is correct.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for for working this out. Are there any additional questions?
Thanks for making it happen, David.
Yes,
Yep.
really appreciate it.
What it's about.
Mr. Baker?
Ms. Orich?
Yes.
Mr. Unger?
Yes.
Mr. Waller?
Yes, that's 3-0. That passes, and that major amendment to the final development plan, and welcome your landowners in Colerain again, another time. Thank you so much for being Colerain stewards and being part of the community. I know that I speak for everyone that we appreciate it, and the history that it brings, and I was fascinated by the article that the city of Evansville loves your brand so much. Yeah, it was just, I'm like, Evansville, it seems kind of random, but okay, yeah.
You know, it seems random to us too. But we'll take it.
All right, fantastic. Well, I love it too, and I'm not random, so you can tell I've had my share of Grippos. It's fantastic.
Continued success.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Love family-owned businesses.
All right, administration.
Yes, sir. And this actually was another question that came up in citizens' address that we can address here. The item before you is a motion to appoint Jennifer Connon and Heather Harlow to the Hamilton County Tax Incentive Review Council. The question was asked, was it publicized on our website? Were applications accepted? The answer to both of those is no, and the reason for that is because it's not one of our boards and commissions. So the Alloy Economic Development, which is the new name for an organization that used to be called HCDC, they are in charge of convening the Hamilton County Tax Incentive Review Council. You'll recall that there are, in fact, 2 tax incentive review councils. There's the county one, which is in charge of reviewing our CRAs and enterprise zones, and then there's the local one, which is responsible for reviewing our TIFs. So we weren't taking applications because it's not one of our boards. It just the Alloy requires the Board of Trustees to appoint folks to this board. So the recommendation is to appoint Jennifer Connon and Heather Harlow to this council, and the recommendation is to adopt the motion.
I motion that we appoint Jennifer Connon and Heather Harlow to the Hamilton County Tax Incentive Review Council.
I'll second.
All right, any discussion?
Thanks to those 2 for their service.
I'll echo that. We'll call the question.
Ms. Orich?
Yes.
Mr. Unger?
Yes.
Mr. Waller?
Yes, that passes 3-0. Ms. Connon and Ms. Harlow go to the Hamilton County Tax Incentive Review Council. Old business. The only thing I wanted to bring up in old business, and I don't know if you passed that along, but we've now applied for a grant through recycling funds for the cameras to catch people that illegally dump.
And we've been awarded.
My question for that, and I don't know how this works, if I were a citizen and requested, through public records request, the locations of those cameras, is there a way to, do we have to provide that?
I don't know.
Okay. Yeah. Not that I want to hide information, but I don't want, Johnny dumping person to get a list where we have cameras and go somewhere else that we maybe don't have a camera yet.
Sure. Valid point.
I would like to have a whole lot of them.
Well, I mean, I get that, but cameras kind of make me nervous too, so.
Like those 2 up there. There's cameras on the wall up there, Matt.
No, I thought those were fake.
There's one right here behind you also,
Yeah.
so just so you know they're there.
All right, consent items, Mr. Mills.
Yes, sir. We have 3 items on the consent agenda tonight. The first is a new hire. It's a management analyst intern position in the administration department. We received applications and conducted interviews. The conditional offer of employment was extended to Ann Meyer. The wage for this job is $15 per hour for 40 hours per week. Contingent upon your approval, she'd be eligible to begin work tomorrow, May 25th, 2022. Next item is a new hire. It's a seasonal maintenance worker in the Public Services Department. After receiving applications and conducting interviews, we made a conditional offer of employment to Justin Matavia. The wage for this job is $13 per hour for 40 hours per week of work throughout the season. And contingent upon your approval, he'd be eligible to begin work tomorrow, May 25th, 2022. And finally, we have a contract that was signed with Zix Software. Contract provides a one-year trial of Microsoft Project, which is a project management software program. And the recommendation is to approve all consent items.
And that cost is like $149?
$114 is what it says in the agenda packet.
114, okay. All right, are there any motions at this time?
I motion that we approve the items on the consent agenda.
I'll second.
All right, any discussion?
It's all, the applications and the contract are right here in the agenda for anyone that wants to see them.
All right, Mr. Baker?
Ms. Orich?
Yes.
Mr. Unger?
Yes.
Mr. Waller?
Yes, that passes 3-0. Those consent items
Thank you,
carry.
Board. Accomplished a lot tonight.
Thank you. Mr. Baker, fiscal officer report.
Thank you, Board. I have nothing from the fiscal office, but I do want to mention one thing off topic, and that's the garden beds at Wart Park. I rented one of those last year, and I just couldn't keep up. My daughters and I couldn't get over there enough to upkeep it, so we didn't do it this year. But I did drive by the other day and noticed that there are many of them left. So it's a great opportunity if you want to grow your own garden, especially these days, especially if you like peppers. They're very expensive at Kroger, so if you buy your own, it saves you a lot of money. But there's many of the beds available, so I would just recommend that you reach out to the township to look into renting one. I think at least last year it was $25 to rent one, which is a bargain. So, but that's all I have.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Mills, is there an executive session needed?
No, sir.
I hesitate to say this. Are there any motions?
I would motion that we adjourn the meeting at 8:18 PM.
I'll second.
All right, any discussion?
None?
Mr. Baker?
Ms. Orich?
Yes.
Mr. Unger?
Yes.
Mr. Waller?
Yes, that passes 3-0. We are adjourned at 8:18. Thank you.